Next up, the San Fran Giants. They added Sam Hentges, a reliever, 1 year, 1.4. Jason Foley, another reliever, 1 for 2. Adrian Hauser started for Team USA today. My bad, started for the Giants today against Paul Skeens, 2 for 22. Tyler Mahle, starter, 1 for 10. Harrison Bader, outfielder, 2 for 20.5. Phillies could use him, right, John?
They sure could now.
You wanted him even before he signed with the
not,
Giants.
not
Harrison
really.
Bader is a ball player. I wanted him on the Yankees.
I would have rather Bader maybe over Adolis Garcia.
Bader, I think, could.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those guys that
He's a guy that you really like to have.
Yeah.
Luis Arias, he's there, 1 for 12. Will Brennan, a right fielder, 1 for 900 grand. And then Rowan Wick, another reliever, 1 for 880. They traded for Jansiel Villaroel, utility man from Houston, Daniel Susek, a catcher from Minnesota, and then Logan Martin, a starter from Kansas City. They lost Joey Lucchesi, a starter. He's still a free agent. Andrew Knizner, a catcher. He's in Seattle now. Justin Verlander, he's back in Detroit. Wilmer Flores, he's still a free agent. Dom Smith, he went to Atlanta. Tom Murphy, a catcher, he's a free agent. So the Giants were a weird team. They weren't great last year. Like I said, they went 81-81. They were kind of like a surprising, like middle of the pack. They did get Devers during last season. But now they added a new manager. How effective will Tony Vitello be? He's coming from college, no major league or professional sports managing experience, going from college kids to getting the highest paid players in the world. Is there going to be a bit of a learning curve for him, or is he going to run right into it?
What's interesting to me is he's not getting a particularly young team. Luis Arias, Matt Chapman, Rafi Devers, Logan Webb, Willie Adames, Harrison Bader, like the best players on this team are all vets. So I think it may be harder if they brought him in to be a culture guy to develop a culture, because a lot of these guys kind of are already in their ways. Now, obviously, if you're one of the best and you're a great manager, you're going to find a way anyways. And I'm not passing any judgment here whatsoever, but the task does seem like a harder one to meet in that aspect because of the age and veteran presences already on this team. And because I don't necessarily look at some of the veteran presences on this team as renowned leaders as well. We saw everything Rafi Devers did last year in Boston, talking about how he wouldn't play first base for them, but he had no problem playing first base for the Giants. That to me tells me if he becomes unhappy with something in San Francisco, why would he not lash out the same way he did in Boston? I don't look at Luis Arias as a guy who was a real locker room leader. We saw everything happening last year with San Diego going into the season. There was drama. So, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm only on the outside looking in, obviously, so I don't know, but that's my speculation.
It's just weird because usually you'd see like this type of manager be brought in for a younger team,
like the Rockies.
Yeah, a younger team and stuff. But I'm guessing if this is more of like just a baseball move purely, and maybe like just for how he manages the game and rotation stuff. I'm guessing because I don't really know much about him. I don't really follow college.
Me neither.
Baseball very much, but I'm assuming he's more of a. I would assume he's more of like a game manager more than the like a locker room manager. So
it's an interesting case. I think he has the opportunity to do well. He seems to have the personality for it. But now with the Giants, they added Luis Arias, who hung out in free agency for a while. Good offensive, contact guy, but somebody of his skill set. He physically cannot run, very slow, no power. So adding somebody like him who will hit a lot of singles and not much more, and Harrison Bader coupled with an Adames, a Chapman, a Devers, how are those two big additions in Bader and Arias going to help the offense?
I mean, more contact for sure. I think defensively, Bader's an upgrade. Arias, Yeah, not great, but worth it for the bat. I think those two guys,
What position
depending
do we anticipate Arias playing?
second.
Second, not first. Getting Devers back to DH.
Um, I mean, maybe Fangraphs seems to think Eldridge will be the DH and Devers at first.
And that was going to be my next question: is how do they balance Arias, who's not very great defensively, Devers, and Eldridge, who they want to get Eldridge in?
I think as long as Devers likes the team, he'll be fine moving around. But again, in Boston, we saw like the infamous "I play third." So
I think that was just stemmed from them saying that they were going to do one thing with him and then switching up, and they signed.
I
him,
do
and
think he was mad,
it
but
was just a very. I
have
think
the
they just
Giants been
handled
telling
it
him
bad.
all off season, "You're our first baseman," and then are they going to want to move him to DH?
Yeah,
And he's going to be upset about that. Devers is the big X factor for this team, not just personality wise, but I think for them to reach their full potential, the pitching staff is a question for me, but I think he has to be an MVP level player in this lineup. And I'm not saying he's going to win it because he's obviously in a national league with Shohei Ohtani. But if the Giants are a playoff team, I think Rafi Devers will probably be a top 5 MVP candidate.
Let me write that down. If Giants are a playoff team, Rafi Devers is a top 5 MVP candidate. Is that right?
Hey, that's if they get there, that'd be my guess.
Right.
I'm getting the sense that you disagree. I haven't heard you write down many of my takes that you agree with. So
I don't know if he's. You don't write down take very often.
I actually very much agree with it. I just wanted to lock it down because I think that the Giants, if they're going to be good and be a playoff team, they're going to need high-end production out of Devers. He's their most potent offensive bat. So if they are going to be good, he needs to be good as well.
Because when you look at these other teams in this division, if we just kind of pen the Dodgers in as a playoff team, and then we look at a division, yes, 3 teams can get in some, but if we look at it as like there's just one spot left for the other teams to compete for, the Diamondbacks have Corbin Carroll and the Padres have Fernando Tatis. There's not really a player of that caliber on paper in the lineup for the Giants. So my assumption is if the Giants make the jump to the playoffs because their pitching rotation isn't so potent, it's because Rafi Devers became one of those players, meaning he probably had an MVP-esque season.
I think it's very, very, very possible.